Powered by Fantasyverse. Welcome to Turn a Page, the official comic book club for Nerd Initiative. Each week, the NI Bullpen will be covering the world of comics, talking to creators, deep diving into some fantastic stories, and much more. Now let's hand it over to the team and turn a page.
And what is going on, everyone? It is Tuesday night, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and you are tuned in for an all-new edition of Turn a Page, the official comic book club for Nerd Initiative. My name is Ken M. You know me as the host of the ODPH podcast. I'm also Nerd Initiative editor-in-chief. To my left, you're right at home. It's in his contract. He has to do his own intro.
Come on, 11 direct straight from the ODPH studios. My name's Off the Cuff Tom, Nerd Initiative's pop culture connoisseur, Ken Optimus. It's always a pleasure. So let's roll out with that new intro.
Absolutely. Powered by Fantasyverse, your home where comic, manga, and more collide. So definitely check it out in the liner notes of this episode because they got a lot of great stuff going on. So they are officially powering Turn a Page. And speaking of powering, there's obviously a group of Cybertronians that need some power that are making a lot of headway at the comic shops.
It's you'd even think that they have the touch. They have the power.
Indeed, indeed, because there was some news that broke last week from our good friends over at Skybound Entertainment that shook the comic world. I'm throwing it up on screen. Chat, super chat, wherever you're watching us from. Make sure you get your voices heard about this one because coming out October 8th this year, the new team taking over the hit series from the Energon Universe, Transformers, was announced. Robert Kirkman and Dan Mora are going to be taking the helm of Optimus Prime and company. So this is a move that obviously had the fans talking. It had our entire bullpen losing their minds about this, to put it mildly. Tom, when you're watching this unfold, like, what was your instant reaction to this?
There was a brick of Energon right behind me. Let's put it that way. It was a big old brown brick of Energon, if you catch my drift. I mean, Ken knows I've started following Dan Mora back when he was doing Power Rangers, and we've seen his amazing work and his, body of work in the past few years. And to just see the scale that he's gone to, and now that we're at giant robot size, not that he hasn't done that before, but doing the Cybertronians, doing Optimus and Megatron, and not really Bumblebee, but
definitely not Bumblebee.
But I mean, seriously, you're going to have to be on red alert and prowl over to your LCS to make sure that you pick this bad boy up.
Yeah,
and
this
more puns.
I know, and they're definitely warranted because obviously Transformers has been a book that is really kicked a new wave of fandom out.
Yes,
to the masses, and it's really been one that's captivated everybody that we've got a chance to see it. And the work that Daniel Warren Johnson and company have done on it has been amazing. But even looking at the preview art, courtesy of Image Comics and Skybound Entertainment, I mean, looking at what's coming down here, this is some next level stuff. Dan Mora, his work from Once and Future and what he's been doing over at DC with Justice League Unlimited and Superman and a million other books. It feels like
Power Rangers.
Yeah, he has definitely set such a high bar that you don't want to miss this.
Look at those lines, just the feeling, the sleekness. I mean, it makes my little G1 heart happy. Like, you have no idea.
Yeah, this has been such a cool, tease about what's coming on. So we thought for tonight, we would take it to a place where it all began, because it's crazy to think that in 2023, this book was restarted under the helm of one of the comics' best creators, Daniel Warren Johnson.
Yes.
And seeing the work that he has done with Mike Spicer and Russ Wooten on this, really revolutionized what we know of when we think about Transformers.
Now, just to preface this, IDW had a very long running thing going before with Transformers. And this is where we got like Shattered Glass. We had a little bit in the line continuity. And we are not knocking what they did over there because they were doing the work too. But where we're at now in the Skybound and with Image, again, it's the best thing about being a fan of so many franchises, the fact that we are able to have all these different iterations and still find one big, huge matrix of love.
Indeed. This one, like I say, it really is stretched the dawn of time since the 80s to, the current run right now.
It is.
And it's been one that if you're a big fan of toys and cartoons, much like Tom is every Monday night on Turn a Page, Play for Keeps rather, it has been a staple of a lot of our childhoods and coming into this and seeing what they did with the Energon Universe. Remember, they slid this in with Void Rivals. And just a one little page kickstarted an entire movement that has really been such a massive hit at the comic shops. When we talk about Void Rivals, we talk about G.I. Joe and the spin-off series that they had building into it. And then we talk about Transformers and with the job that has been done by the team over there, really taking it up another notch. That obviously when Daniel Warren Johnson leaves his book at issue 24, it's going to be a very bittersweet moment, but knowing what is coming is got everybody that much more excited.
Yes.
So for tonight's episode, we are going to be breaking down the book that kickstarted everything, Transformers #1. So we are going to do this a little familiar if you're to turn a page. We like to give a spoiler-free statement. After that statement, we deep dive into this. So if you haven't read this book for whatever reason, you're going to get a lot of information on it. And then hopefully you go to the comic shops tomorrow and try finding a copy and definitely get yourself familiar with everything going on at the Energon Universe, because it's next level stuff. So chat, super chat, throw in your picks for your favorite Transformer. I definitely want to know yours as we're deep diving in this. So Tom,
that's a loaded question for me because I break it down by series.
I know
that's not a good no.
It works for me. So that being said, give me your spoiler-free statement on Transformers #1 from 2023.
It's not my Transformers, but it still is. That's the way I'm going to put it. I'm going to keep it a little ominous today.
No, that's fair. For me, when you kickstart a franchise and you really want to do something different with it and give it an edge and give the fans something to really sink their teeth into as it being a new beginning for a lot of fans, I thought this issue really nailed the bullseye.
I think LL Cool J said it best. Don't call it a comeback. I wouldn't even call this a reboot. This is a new interpretation in the best way possible.
Oh yeah, you could definitely say that. I mean, for me, it was because you think about when Void Rivals came out and how one little page really kickstarted everything. And then to see the announcement that G.I. Joe and Transformers are going to be done by Skybound, and Skybound is always producing massive hits. This was so highly anticipated that when this came out, there was really no room for error. So to see it really show up and see Daniel Warren Johnson's take on it, and it is a little more violent to a degree, but it's a little more realistic, I would say, because there's no punches being held back. This isn't a Saturday morning cartoon. This is really what would happen if robots in disguise crashed into Earth and the drama that unfolds with the war from Decepticons and Autobots from Cybertron.
One will stand and one will fall.
Mm-hmm. So that being said, let's get into the book. And they don't waste any time. They hit the ground running because we see a few visions happening here. And we get introduced to a couple of characters that we know from the human side of things, Tom, would you say?
The Witwickies, as a matter of fact. We've got Spike and Sparkplug.
Yep. So if you're a longtime Transformers fan, you know them and you kind of see their father-son relationship is not exactly, would you say, perfect, but obviously Spike is sitting there trying to make the best of it.
And I like the fact that, again, I'm going to be doing a lot of comparison to G1 Transformers. Okay. So to see Sparkplug in this type of lens of, I'm assuming here based on the helicopters and the orange skies, Vietnam War vet, sitting at the VFW, drinking away his problems, versus, the next panel down was the Ark heading to Earth. And then you see the freedom isn't free kind of type picture. And then you see Optimus, to get the idea that, Sparkplug is really just not what we know of. And I think that, with modern readers today, I've said this for many, many years, we're now a more educated class of reader. So we want to have that depth of story. And to do that on the first 2 pages already says, this is not your Dad, Big Brothers, or even your Transformers. This is something more.
Mm-hmm. And they, like I say, I love the tone set early. Like you immediately know when you see this page, you know what's coming. And you have an idea what's coming rather. And to really kind of set that tone, like this has such a different feel to it.
Yeah.
And I think that for me as a reader, that's what I love seeing.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't want to see the same old same. I didn't want to seem like it's a Saturday morning cartoon. I wanted to see something different. And man, did they ever set the tone early. And then we go into when Spike and Carly are kind of making their ways around, kind of escaping the reality of their home life. And they wind up to an iconic mountain, if you will.
Yes.
And we do see a certain ship that they literally crash into.
Yep. The Ark itself. So they found the Ark and they fall inside when they're having a moment.
Mhm.
But again, like I said, this book is literally sweeping the rug out from under you, and in a good way. This is what you want to see.
Yeah.
And we see, exactly what what we know is the Ark when it crashed, but the story is going to develop just a little bit. And again, you see Optimus, you see who else was there? I saw Red Alert, Ratchet, or not Red Alert, Prowl.
You see a lot of classic Transformers. I mean, Autobots and Decepticons at the same time. So you do see a lot of them that we know and love, but obviously something has happened here, and it's obviously not good, no matter how you want to break it down. So then as the story progresses forward, well, we do see a guest appearance by a fan favorite, and obviously knowing where he's coming from Void Rivals, it's Jetfire. Yeah,
this now, again, I like the fact that I kind of kept my head in the sand when it came to this whole combined universe. I didn't know that. I knew Jetfire showed up in Void Rivals. I didn't know that he was the catalyst that got the Autobots and Decepticons back up and running. So that one really surprised me because, again, going back to the original, it was the mountain/volcano that blew up that actually reactivated the Teletran 1 that started the reconstruction process. So to see it again with this new interpretation, I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it.
Oh, yeah, there's a lot to love about it. But one thing that definitely longtime fans did not love about this, but Daniel Warren Johnson ran with it, and you know what? I fully applaud it. And this was a moment that at the panel of New York Comic Con in 2023, he said, "Bring it on. I feed off your tears," to paraphrase a little bit. We see Starscream is awakened by Jetfire and obviously sees a fallen Bumblebee on the ground and instantly unalives him.
Well, he was in state anyway, but where's the face?
Well, we covered the face just for our YouTube continuance.
Spoilers.
Yes, but this is a moment that obviously we wanted to make sure it was shown on here, but to see the face get blown off, it set a tone early. And we have to remember, this is like really early in the book.
Yeah, we're on what page? Crud.
We're not on page crud, though. We're on page 10.
Yeah, page 10.
Yeah. So we hit this running. And that's the one thing that you really want to know about this.
Mm-hmm.
There is no delay. That you want to set a tempo early. You take out one of the most beloved Transformers of all time. And that instantly sends that reaction to the audience.
Visceral. Like, I mean, you think about it. When you think the Transformers and you instantly think the Autobots, it's Optimus, it's Bumblebee, and then everybody else.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
oh, completely.
You think Decepticons, it's Megatron, Soundwave/Starscream, all depends on how cool you are, and then everybody else.
Yeah, I'm Team Soundwave, so you know I'll go that every day.
I will agree.
And then obviously seeing the reaction of that, Jetfire is obviously in shock because he's coming in and obviously not seeing any Autobots for years.
Nope. Flying
in, and that's literally the first thing he's done. And plus, he's responsible because he's the one activating everybody.
And on top of it, if reading it, you'll notice that Jetfire and Starscream have some sort of history. Now, I know that Starscream was one of the Seekers. Again, I'm not completely 100% sure of what Jetfire's role was in Void Rivals, which is okay because it's refreshing for me. So how their past Cybertronian history might have intertwined does play into this. How Jetfire even says, "Hey, look at my symbol," and he's got the Autobot symbol, and Starscream's like, "F that, man. That's bad. No. And he just starts blasting, the Autobots in stasis, which I also find interesting that the fact that the Decepticons were the first ones that were awakened by Teletran 1, which makes me think of some old Transformers lore that were the Decepticons the first true Transformers. Again, this is all coming from the different continuities, whether it's the aligned continuity or so on and so forth. This is really a good issue for me to do.
Oh, yeah. Like I said, there's a lot to deep dive into.
He gets a break tonight.
Yeah. Daniel jumped in the chat. Shout out to Daniel. He was shocked when Bumblebee died, but not really upset. And that's something too, that if you want to take a different approach to this franchise, a lot of fans want to see something different. This was a way to do it. I mean, a lot of people were upset by it, which I think to drive home that point, you wanted different, you got different. They took chances, you take risks. I love seeing that as a comic reader.
Yes.
I hate it when they play it too safe. You want to take a chance. If it doesn't work, you can always retcon. You can always do something else to get out of it. But this was a great way to do it. But obviously, those actions don't fall lightly. And we see Starscream is attacking Jetfire, shoots him point blank. So it's like, thanks for nothing. And then we get the appearance of the legendary Optimus Prime. And he does an Okada Rainmaker. Now, Tom has no idea what that is.
That is, but I just see a clothesline as far as I'm concerned.
Now, if you know Daniel Warren Johnson, you know he's a big AEW fan. He's a big New Japan Pro Wrestling fan. Okada obviously is a legendary wrestler over there, and that is his finisher. He does the wind-up clothesline that is the Rainmaker.
While also still holding the opponent's arm as
Yep.
well. Okay, well then kudos to Okada.
So to say that I lost my mind and marked out is an understatement when I saw this. I am not lying about this. I was like, this is awesome. Immediately. And to see this action go down, you see, just like I say, the lettering from Wooten is next level, because seeing it in that presentation, like it's popping off the panels. To have that moment, you know the action is going to be big, and there is no punches pulled.
No,
like
no, there's no punches pulled. There's punches thrown.
No, they're definitely swinging for the fences. They're going crazy with it, and that's what you want to see. Like, you don't want to see anything that's going to be just too, fake, if you will. Like, you really want to see, okay, these are two feuding robot factions that have been fighting for years. This is the original Fight Forever. We're going to talk a lot of wrestling. Yep. Sorry, Tom.
That's okay. Well, one other thing, you do mention is about the whole forever aspect in the conversation between Jetfire and Starscream. Again, comparing the original, and I'm not again knocking anything, but the original was that the Ark had crash landed on Earth millions of years ago and it was buried. This one, if you notice, Jetfire does say to Starscream, hey, it's been a few centuries.
Yeah.
So that really puts things into context of, well, this is still fresh, but even when Optimus wakes up and goes, oh,
yeah,
it's not like, oh, we've been out for a million years.
No, definitely not. But like I say, they waste no time picking up right where they left off. Like I say, the fight is on, and this is just pure 101 Transformers. And seeing him when he sees Spike and Carly, like, you see the reaction. He's like, stay behind me, small creatures.
I'm out.
I loved how he did that, because it's just such a subtle move. But obviously, with what's going on, he knows that protective instinct. Like, obviously, the Autobots have been the noble side of Cybertron thus far, that they understand about protecting life, and where the Decepticons are more driven by power and the consumption of it. There's a different take. So to see that get translated early, if you're somebody that's not familiar with the lore, you instantly see it and you can understand it. And then when we go to the next pages, this is where the fight really starts picking up. Ratchet has come in to play. And
Dotbot.
Yeah. And obviously more robots are getting awoken, and we see Optimus Prime is trying to reach for his gun. Soundwave, my personal favorite Transformer, is there and is ready to do some damage too. And we see that the fight is going on. Even Optimus is trying to save Bumblebee and has that moment with him in the third panel here.
Oh my God.
So Tom, talk about that. Like, as you're reading this, like, what is your instincts?
The fact that they put Spike in the everyman in our role to see, these robots, not technically in disguise just yet, mourning each other, says a lot. And that's, in a good way, something that we would come to expect out of this scene as well. Instead of just glancing it over, it's like, hey, we're fighting. Oh, we're going to go back for the bodies. No, Optimus, as far as in my book, that is what I would expect of Optimus, that even in, the throes of war, he's going to stop and try to save Bumblebee. And if not, he's going to mourn right then and there.
Yeah. And it's one that, like I say, it's an action right there. Obviously, they're like a family.
Oh,
and to see Optimus, he's seeing Bumblebee killed, that's instantly going to have a reaction on him. And I loved how, it became a catalyst for him to really, pick up the battle and really go there, even when Starscream is attacking him and showing no mercy. Like I say, it goes to show how ruthless their war is, and is not one for the faint of heart. And I like the tempo they kept up, because it's not like they just did one and done.
No, not at all.
Like, through this entire run, They really pushed the pace.
And the fact that Starscream is still very much the Starscream that we know, but finally the Starscream that we want.
Yeah.
You know, we've always found Starscream to have this, you know, bit of conniving, a little bit of cowardice, you know, the sneaky, you know, background guy, the guy who will give you, you know, the punch upside, you know, in the back of your head. But now we're seeing it brought to the forefront like this. Really shows the nature of what a Decepticon could be.
Yeah. And it's utterly brilliant.
Yes.
Like I say, I love the take they did with Starscream on this. And especially as the action is just revving up, because as they're trying to leave the arc, it's not an easy play, but they have to do what they have to do, especially with them on the losing side of events. And even to this point where Optimus gets the gun, has to take out somebody, and just the escape. And I love when you want to say like a big panel, you want to say that iconic moment.
Mm-hmm.
You have to look at the third page on the screen here.
Well, I'm going to interrupt that third page. And I want to go back to that first page, last panel. You know, back door in New York, I was talking with the art team, and I did ask, how do you get scale out of this? And to see, you know, Spike and Carly helping by pushing the barrage cannon over to Optimus really shows you that they understand the assignment. They needed to get that exact scale just right. Now, obviously, we're going to see something happen during the escape, but the big, huge hero, almost Michael Bay-like, boom,
yeah,
scene.
But that's how you have to do this. I mean,
Yeah.
as we talk about like a Michael Bay scene, that's how you have to do.
You have to. It's Transformers.
Yeah.
I mean, even if this wasn't, even if we never seen any single Michael Bay movies, all right, that is still the type of scene you want. This is the only way we can put it into context.
Yeah. Chat, super chat. What did you think about this fight as it's going down? This is the initial round one.
Mm-hmm.
It like, did you think it was going to get better? Or you were like, oh man, I don't know how they're going to top this. Because I'll be honest, I'm sitting there watching this unfold, and there are so many iconic moments happening here. It was almost like sensory overload, but in the best way possible.
Absolutely.
Because I'm just sitting there going like, how else are they going to do this? If you can make me kind of pause and make me lose my words, you know you've got a great issue on hand.
I'll save this for later. I have one gripe in that whole thing.
Oh yeah, well we'll go over the good, bad,
Right.
and we always do. That's something we always cut it right down the middle here.
So if super chat, if you can figure out what my gripe is in mid battle sequence, more power to you. Just start guessing in the chat.
Yeah. And definitely we have a blown away on each page. Yeah, I mean, Daniel, what can you say is Daniel Warren Johnson art? No matter what book he does, Murder Falcon, Do a Power Bomb, like the list goes on and on. Everything he does is just next level storytelling.
Mm-hmm.
And he really nailed it out of the park, because like this one, you almost like, you can always tell when creators are having fun.
Yes.
And I think in this moment, it was just like, make the wildest battle scene you can. And this is round one. Like, what? How else do you top that? And you know what? I'm completely there for it. Like, that's the best thing about it. Shout out to Blake in the chat too. I see it in there. And we get this, like I say, the iconic moment of the escape where he's coming through the fire carrying Spike and Carly. And as he's making the transform, this is the first time we're seeing this happen.
We're hearing it in our heads too. Let's be honest.
Yo, completely. How could you not? We go from this to this 2-page splash and roll out. Mic drop. Like, does it get better?
No, it doesn't. It really, really doesn't. And the fact that they still kept, I mean, Optimus's form, G1 form, is iconic in and of itself. You don't mess with that. But the fact that they took Ratchet, and, you know, we've seen, now if you think about the old G1 Ratchet, he was very boxy, very much a Japanese style ambulance. This is very much a modern, say, 80s, maybe early 90s style. I like the shape. I like the form. It does not feel like it's just a marshmallow with wheels.
Mm-hmm. No, I completely agree with you. There was nothing about this, as much as they were classic characters.
Yes.
There was nothing that felt dated.
No, not at all.
This was one that really felt very modern, even with the styles, like you touched upon, like, because these characters have been around since the 80s.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing really felt like out of place. And it didn't feel so futuristic that it felt out of place.
Right.
Like, everything was literally as perfect as you can get about this. Like I say, it was just such a wild scene to see unfold. And yeah, I mean, the IDW years were great, but this one just, I agree with you, Daniel. This one just had such a different feel to it.
Yes.
That it's kind of weird to put in perspective. Because I mean, I grew up reading the Marvel books.
You know, it's funny. He says it's a breath of fresh air. I think it's more of a clutch of pearls moment where you go, you know, it's more of you pulling it in because it's so much right there. And then you,
Yeah.
Yes, I did put the universal greeting in the chat. Okay, give me a break.
Yeah. But it's one of those moments, like I say, when you read this, and especially for a first issue, like it's so make or break that to take a risk like this, it paid off because as much as it's new, it's still the same.
Yes.
And it's still everything we love about Transformers. It's big action, it's big drama. It is larger than life.
Mm-hmm.
And to see it kind of come to the screen, and like I say, just this simple 2-page splash just steals the show, because this is just, there's no way you're not sitting there just smiling and nodding and like having that moment in your head where you're yelling about this.
Well, I mean, I read mine digitally, so I was kind of going like this, but you know what I mean.
Yeah. But
and just so you know, this is a 1-page splash that is, you have to turn the book sideways to read, folks.
Well, no, that's for a special copy.
Oh, I got a special copy.
Yes. So that said, but the regular digital copy, that's the 2-page.
Okay.
Yes. So that said, when you see this all unfold, action is picking up, and especially you think like, okay, the fight's done. No. We go to the next page on here, and we see the escape from the Ark and hitting the ground running, and this is where
chase scene.
Yeah, the chase is on, and to see how wild this gets too. Like, this is where we never take the foot off the gas pedal.
No.
And I love that fact about this.
Or throttle if it's Starscream.
Yeah.
We got to give the Decepticons their due too.
Yeah. But like I say, as they're going back and forth, you even see Jetfire, as wounded as he is, is now flying to try helping Optimus and company.
And he's got pew-pew guns that go pew-pew-pew.
Yeah. But he's trying to make the best of it. And like I say, the aerial fight is going on too. Like I say, there's no place the action doesn't go in this. And I think that's so key for this story, because they really covered a lot of ground with this, and especially where the fight goes. And it never feels like there's a pause moment. Like, it just keeps escalating.
And not only that, it feels like it just keeps going. Nothing is forced either. It's not like, they're shoving this new concept or idea down your throat. It just feels like a natural progression.
Oh yeah, completely. So when it's working, and it's working so well. And that's the one thing too, because you instantly are just caught up in this escape. And even if you're not familiar with the franchise, this is a point that you go, okay, this is big moments. This is huge. And it really is clicking about like the importance of these characters. And especially for that first issue, that's what you want to have as a take home.
And the other great thing is that in keeping in line with, what we know as Transformers continuity, the only reason that really stopped this fight was the fact of the lack of Energon. We have too many shows or too many, iterations of Transformers that don't go back to the fact that, hey, my Energon levels are low. This one, there's like, nope, this is something that is a core piece of Transformers. In the Bible, doesn't matter which generation, which universe, which, iteration, that has to stay key. So the fact that was the Deus Ex Machina that got you out of the fight, that was awesome.
Yeah. Daniel threw up a great question in the chat. And Tom, I think you can be able to help me remember this. He was curious about how much convincing Daniel Warren Johnson had to do for Hasbro to allow him to kill Bumblebee. I believe he mentioned that at the panel at New York.
You guys were at the panel. I had the press room.
Okay. I'm going to kind of paraphrase, and if I'm wrong, obviously somebody hit me up was there in 2023. I believe that he was given the green light. Like, they kind of were very hands off about it because it's the story. So I think it was, obviously if there's a great story behind it, it makes sense. I think that we've seen this with a lot of the properties that we see go to different publishers, that, yeah, they're more or less willing to do it as long as it's not, for the sake of shock, so to speak.
Yeah, it's not the, no body, no death type of thing. Like, if they're going to do it, they're going to set it in stone and leave it as it is. It's not just the, oh, look here, we're shaking the keys so to get your attention, and then, bring you in, and then, oh, we've got 2 issues out of you. Cool. Thanks for buying all in, and bye.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it was just how it was presented, and like I say, I'm paraphrasing because it's been 2 years almost. That he explained it like he was given a green light about it, and how we've seen this. Like I say, we've seen it with G.I. Joe too. That they've been more than willing to have something like that happen, and they're allowing the creators to be creative, and to have that, especially when you're dealing with iconic properties like this, that is a tremendous feeling. Because, I mean, you could have situations where you can't do something because they're on that level. So seeing that happen, like I say, I marked out for it. And plus, like, it's the beauty of comics, too, that if something doesn't work, you can always find a great way to retcon it if you have a great story behind it. So who knows? We'll have to see, obviously, what happens after he leaves his run, but you never know about it. Yes, and Daniel alluded to what we were saying about G.I. Joe. Poor rock and roll.
Dude.
If you know, you know.
Dude.
Yeah.
I am blessed in the fact that I get to cover that with you. Let me just reiterate that. One of these days, we're going to talk G.I. Joe.
Yes.
All right. Absolutely. And the fact that I get to share my reviews with this guy is probably... no, this is doing the G.I. Joe books. This is doing the reviews with him. They're that close.
Well, thank you. I appreciate the kind words.
It's still more than G.I. Joe.
Yeah. I hope so. I mean, listen, I'm going to be honest with you. Everything they've done in the Energon universe has been a big bucket of win. And you get books like Transformers, and these are the pace setters too. Like, we can't emphasize that enough.
Kirkman told the crowd he's not coming back either. There's no plans. And then he said, I love it. I feed on your tears.
Yes, that's right. I couldn't remember because, like I said, I remember he addressed the crowd. He completely went old school wrestling heel about this.
Yep, right out of the gate. It's not like any other Transformers comic you've ever read. And I will second that.
Yes. So the fact they got the liberty to do it, I mean, that's an instant, this is not your same old Transformers. Because I don't think that they would have been able to kind of take the risk like this unless they obviously had the pedigree to back it up. And like I say, Skybound, every book they do is top level.
Oh, no. Pedigree is not the right word. And they had the pair of T-cogs to do it. Let's be honest.
You say tomato, I say tomato. It's all produce.
Sorry, you know me. I'm going to make every single reference to the
yes, you will.
Possible.
Yes, you will, folks. Welcome to Turn a Page.
Hi, my name's Tom.
Yes, he's here all week. So that being said, going back to the story, we do get the heartfelt pause of, obviously Jetfire's sacrifice and him apologizing to Optimus Prime. Really drawing the emotion out, which we talk about the action here in the story, but there's so much heart in it and the dealing of loss too. Like, that is something that is very, very underrated about this. And to see how that all transpires, it definitely connects with the audience, because you think about the Transformers, you think big action, but really giving them the souls and seeing the reactions about loss and, their wins when they have them. And, as the series progresses like this, there's so much emotional weight with this series.
And the fact that in this particular scene, as Optimus is trying to, with Ratchet, nurse Jetfire, even Ratchet says, look, man, the Matrix only goes so far, man. You got to come to this realization. That is the idea of what war is. And to do it in that scene, reiterating, going back to what we saw with Sparkplug on that first page. Like that's just when you can come right back to it.
Yeah. No, their stories definitely, like I say, there's a lot of similarities, and there's a lot that you sit there and you just can really understand like what Optimus is going through. Because like I say, it really connects with you on that weird emotional level that when you're seeing him he's now had 2 major losses immediately out of the gate after being unconscious for how long? We don't know.
Centuries at least.
That's where they say they're teasing. So to see that come through, and then obviously we know that the Decepticons are obviously looking for Energon, and they are definitely weak. They're not at full strength. So to see them break away, we do see Starscream is now attacking an electrical plant, and this does not go the way it goes. And obviously we see one of the Witwickies,
Sparkplug,
yes, in the mix, and this is his first approach to the Transformers. And this goes to show, obviously, that not all robots are friendly.
Now, let's, if I may, I mean, it's been long enough. We might have seen a certain character in G.I. Joe. All right.
Starscream, you mean?
No. Soundwave says to Starscream, what would he do?
Yeah.
And so we're obviously talking about Megatron. We have no idea where he's at in this context in the Transformers.
At this point, yes.
At this point. If you guys have been following along with all our reviews that we put out every single Wednesday, he's out there. We're not going to say where, because we really want you to go out and read these books, everything in the whole Skybound universe, because it's connected, man. It's synergy.
No, just to piggyback off that, how tightly knit their continuum is.
It is, and I'm still glad at the fact that I really just follow the G.I. Joe books, because I am picking up what I need to from what's happening in Void, from what's happening in Transformers, because the writing all around is that well done.
Oh, completely. Like I said, I read all 3, And I've read every mini series they did for G.I. Joe.
Oh, can we do Scarlet one time?
We might be able to do Scarlet.
Please.
We'll see.
I love
We'll
that
put it up to the chat. We'll chat, super chat. If you want to see us do some G.I. Joe books, throw them in here, and we'll definitely have it under consideration. I would say this, at some point, we probably will, because we might just cover a lot of the G.I. Joe at once.
I think we should.
So that said, but just how everybody's connected and everybody's on the same page, and how one event goes to another, to another, to another. They don't miss a beat.
Mm-hmm.
And you really, if you read all three, you get a broad picture of the story. If you read just one of the titles, you're still getting a story, but you're getting a different perspective and a different path. Then everything eventually goes its way.
Yep.
So, but then going back to that final page, like I say, you get a lot of, Starscream, and obviously making that impression that the Decepticons are not here, that maniacal smile that's on his face.
Oh, see, now you're going for the smile. I'm going for the squishy onomatopoeia that's there.
Well, like I say, the lettering of Wooten on this is very underrated in this book.
Absolutely. But I love the fact that they did this. They went that far. The fact that, oh, hey, sorry, I do my own sound effects.
Yeah.
But that's what we're talking about. That is what is that this is your Transformers, but it's not your Transformers. It's that and more. It's like a robot in disguise.
Yeah.
Sorry, that was really lame.
I know
I go that was really lame.
But no, but at the same point though, this is where they really want to leave it. And that's the last page of the issue too.
Mm-hmm.
So they want to make sure they drive that point home. And I think it's just them telling the audience this is not your average Transformers story.
No.
That they're going to be taking risks. Like lives are going to be lost. Like this is really the effects of the Cybertronian war coming to Earth.
You know what? Daniel has a good one there. It says, not your father's Transformers. It's actually not your Alpha Trion's Transformers.
Well, that too. But it still is one that definitely made a loud statement when it came out. And it's crazy to think that the book has been out since October of 2023. That we're almost 2 years away. And then,
but it's still so fresh. That's the thing. It's like the Band-Aid still hasn't been ripped off. That's how much it still stings.
Well,
in a good way.
Like I say, it goes to credit Daniel Warren Johnson, Jorge Corona, who took over for art, after I want to say issue 13, but still the team that's working on that has really set such a high bar.
Yeah.
That no matter where they're going in the story. And if you're caught up to date, trust me, how this is looking like it's going to end.
Mm-hmm. Your cup runneth over.
Yeah, there's a lot to really process, but it's been one that it's so connecting with fans on that level that you can't help but just be impressed by what they did. And especially, like I say, with Daniel bringing up too about, we're talking about the G.I. Joe. Yeah, Joshua Williamson and Tom Riley did a lot of different things than we've seen in a Larry Hama book. Still, you could pick up the continuation of Hama's run too,
which I'm covering as well.
Yeah, which that doesn't miss a beat. That's
no.
And still, you can see parallels to each other, but you also see different takes, and both are so damn good.
They are. That one thing with Destro, it's the hold my beer issue, as I like to call it.
Yeah, like there is so much win about this universe that when we sit there and think about like what they've done in 2 years, roughly, it's astonishing.
Yeah.
And it's one that if you're really going to develop a series, let alone with characters that are already established, like that's the one thing too. We've seen a couple new characters here and there, but to see this all play out, it's been definitely one that you sit there and you're just impressed with.
Yep.
And to see like how they really ran with it, they got the creative freedom to go some places in a different direction. And it's really something that you see and you're just like, man, like, how do you top this?
No, you can't.
No, you can't. But we always keep this, very, very honest here on Turn a Page. We talked a lot of good.
Yeah.
Tom, was there anything you didn't like about this book?
Okay, so there were a few things. One, I'm not going to take away from the lettering, but I think that the idea that we got the very average 80s robotic, L-Cars looking text out of the Autobots, I wasn't a fan of that.
The text?
Yeah. In the speech bubbles, that it looked very much like a very simple typed out, robotic, very clean. But when you look at, say, the humans, it is in a different text. So that's just one little thing for me. And then there was another thing. Oh, okay. Teletran 1 scans them all in and gives them Earth vehicle forms. All right. I don't know where in the Matrix or the download that came from that Optimus already knew that he had a trailer.
It's probably his Matrix.
I don't. This is me being nitpicky.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
This is me being extremely nitpicky. You know, it's like the old Power Rangers thing. Oh, hey, once you morph, you're going to learn everything that you need to do while you're in your spandex.
But don't they?
They do, and that's the thing. It's like, you know, that again, just it's a little tiny nitpick. I don't think there was really anything else that took me out of this. It was just those two things. It was the lettering when it came to the actual Cybertronians.
Mm-hmm.
I would have liked to see maybe the Autobots have a little bit of a different text style as opposed to the Decepticons. I like that Soundwave did have different colored letterboxes.
Mm-hmm.
So that was great. But yeah, that was really it. And then, like I said, oh, hey, there's my trailer because I know I automatically have one.
You know, I just kind of took it up as we don't know how long they've been there. And for Optimus, I would say it's probably something with the Matrix, like he may be siphoning energy off.
But
like I say, I understand your point. Like it's very, very minuscule.
Yeah.
So, which I can't be mad about. For me, I mean, this is damn near perfect. I mean, I found very little that I thought with. Maybe it was just a sense of, you know, how just everything kind of coincided where the Autobots were just on so much of the defensive out of the gate.
But
like,
they should be.
Right. No, they should be. But like I say, when we're seeing this all kind of unfold, I thought like maybe I would have liked a little more tease with what was going on with like the Witwikis and just kind of like give a little something more there. But it was never anything that took me out. Like I would say, like this is about as damn near perfect as you can get for a first issue.
Mm-hmm.
Like I say, I really struggled to find any fault with it.
Yeah.
You know, like
I'm not saying that there's fault. These are just nitpicks of mine.
Oh yeah. Well, like I say,
That's
I don't really think there is any fault with it.
No.
That I think that when we have to give this a grade, you know, obviously we like to give it out of 10. So we threw it up in the chat here. What is your grade for Transformers #1? I'll start with Daniel. We'll give him the 10 out of 10. So great score there. Tom, how about you? What is your grade for Transformers #1?
It is a 10 out of 10. Like I said, I'm just finding nitpicky things because I love Transformers and I know a lot of the lore. But the fact that we literally put the pedal straight down, floored it, and, you know, rolled out with this awesome #1 book, it's a perfect book.
Yeah. You know, for me, like I say, when I had to go through this, I was really setting the bar high.
Yep.
And obviously I am a big Daniel Warren Johnson fan. Do a power bomb. We'll probably do on here. I've actually done a few episodes talking about that. And even like, I know it's not a wrestling book, Tom, you still will love it.
Oh,
like I say, just how he blends action and emotion. He does it better than anybody. And to see what he could do with this franchise, I thought they made a bold statement early.
Very.
And I think for them to really have this moment where, you know, they know the pressure is on them, because if they don't deliver a classic, the rest of the Energon universe, the hype might not be there, because they have such, you know, expectations from Void Rivals. And Void Rivals is a completely different vibe.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, just happened to have Jetfire appeared there and everybody went, what? And then here we go to Transformers.
Yep.
So to see what they did here, I thought they went to a very, very unique place first, because like I said, it's unapologetic, it's brutal, it's as realistic as you're going to get when you have giant robots destroying everything on Earth and humans are an afterthought.
Yep.
It is Transformers at its purest form, because it's not about the humans, it's not about the Earth, it's literally about the Cybertronian war that is going on between Autobots and Decepticons for centuries. So bringing that here, I thought his vision was perfect. I thought they really hit the ground running, and it really gave a unique perspective on a franchise we've known now since the 1980s.
Mm-hmm.
It's scary to think about it. And like I say, there's very little I did not like about this. In fact, it was just like I say, little things. Like I said, I would have liked a little, maybe more with the Witwikis, something there that it kind of seemed like we, you know, had them bookend a little bit without getting the full story. But this is one of the best issues I've read in 2 years, and it continues to impress me when I do. But my grade is a 9.5 out of 10.
Wow, that's a first that I actually over you, huh?
A little bit, yeah. But like I say, for me though, my expectations were super high coming off of Void Rivals.
Fair enough.
So I think that I don't want to say took me out of it, because it really didn't.
You had a different pair of lenses to look at it.
Right. Because like me, the minute I got done reading Void Rivals, I was like, what? And then it was like, okay, what are they gonna do? What are they gonna do? And it's near perfect. But like I say, as somebody that's read the Transformers on the Marvel side of things, to see that, no, don't do that. Like I say, reading that when it was a thing, like I say, it's a me thing in comparison, but it still works on that level. And like I say, I still recommend this book to everybody. It deserves all the printings it does.
I recommend everything from Skybound, period.
Yeah. They have got so many great books coming too. And like I say, when we start talking about what is coming,
give me all the more.
Going back to October 8th, which if you do not have that lined up in your pull list, you're going to miss out on one of the largest issues of the year. Like I say, trying to give a proper adjective is a tough situation, because this is going to be one I guarantee you is going to shut down the comic shops. Like, everybody's going to be losing their minds about this one. And especially at New York Comic-Con that year too. Because like I say, I believe it coincides, like the 9th is the first day of New York, and everybody is going to be talking about this issue when you're walking around the Javits Center in New York.
Yes.
So there's a lot of great stuff to check out at the shop. So definitely can't recommend that enough. And
if I can also recommend here, if you haven't read this yet, not just Transformers #1, there are the trades as well out there. There's 3 of them out right now. So you can go out and pick these up, whether it's your comic book shop, wherever your other retailer is. If you want to play catch up, do play catch up.
Oh, absolutely. Do not wait on this. Do not wait till October 8th.
Because if you don't, it would be a devastator.
Oh, completely. You want to make sure you're caught up on this, because like I say, this issue is going to be one of the biggest issues of the years, hands down. And we're already telling you, like, this is no joke. This is no overselling. They're not going to miss with this one.
No.
So, and especially even Transformers 24 is not going to miss, because however Daniel Warren Johnson wraps things up, buckle in for that one. It's going to be absolutely an epic issue, bar none. Speaking of issues,
I have many.
You trust me, we know this. We watch Monday and Tuesday nights, 8 p.m. on Nerd Initiative YouTube. We are very familiar with that.
We used the ticker last night.
Yes, we did.
Twice.
I saw that. New Comic Book Day is every Wednesday, and nobody does New Comic Book Day reviews like the Nerd Initiative Bullpen.
And that's no one.
Exactly. So that being said, Tom, what are you recommending for the shops this week?
Well, obviously, it sounds like it's in my wheelhouse. As always, we're going to be talking about Power Rangers Prime issue number 8. That's right. The Prime universe, written by Melissa Flores, is going so well. We are now in its 2nd arc. The VR Troopers are there. In addition, right now, Boom Studios did just release last week VR Troopers issue number 1. The big thing I got to say, folks, that if you are not a Power Rangers person, you're not familiar with the 30 years of Power Rangers, this is a completely new story. I don't like to say that it's an Elseworlds, because I always say the Morphin Grid is always connected. So, maybe it'll come back around, maybe it won't. But the fact of what we get on the last page, which again, if you are a Power Rangers fan, you know what the next issue is going to be, because the spoiler did come out this week. Trust me, you are going to be green with envy. Because reasons.
So there's a lot of great issues coming out this week. For me personally, one I'm just excited to see, because I am a huge Steve Rogers fan. We have a brand new Captain America hitting the shelves from Marvel Comics.
I know.
So this is going to be one. Chip Zdarsky is at the helm writing, and I'm a huge Chip fan. I really enjoy a lot of his stuff, whether it's the All-Nighter, which is Comixology Originals and Dark Horse Comics, or his run on Batman, which, he went some places with it, and definitely, really had some fun with Bruce Wayne and company. So I'm very excited to see what he's going to do with Steve Rogers, especially telling a story from his past. So definitely make sure you check that out. And if you even want more comic recommendations, can't stress it enough, Nerd Initiatives drops them every 5 minutes starting at 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time on nerdinitiative.com. Captain America #1 is leading off the lineup this week. We go until we're done with the writing, but fear not, at noon on YouTube, the channel you should be subscribed to for exclusive content, you're even getting more reviews from our bullpen team. Like we say, nobody, and I mean nobody, does New Comic Book Day quite like the home of pop culture positivity.
Estimated, I believe we're at 25 plus for tomorrow.
I would believe it, because tomorrow is kind of a more quiet week because we are going into
San Diego.
No, not San Diego. It's the 4th of July.
Yeah.
So as we're celebrating in the United States, obviously be safe and careful wherever you're at celebrating this weekend. So
make sure to put out your milk and cookies for Captain America.
This is very, very true. Yeah, I agree. Like this week is kind of, it's still got a great lineup, Daniel, but next week is a massive one. And I'm not meaning because of Massiveverse. I'm meaning massive week with a lot of titles coming back for that week. So I will turn a page with Rich is jumping in from the top rope. So definitely shout out to Rich from 3FN.
Who's that guy?
You can catch him every Thursday night, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Wrestling Night Live. Ending this week on a bittersweet note. Unfortunately, we lost somebody in the comic community. Jim Shooter, unfortunately, passed away from esophageal cancer, I believe. If you're not familiar with his work and the legacy he's left in comics, do yourself a favor. Go check out some of his stuff that he's done. I mean, his, like I say, legendary career is probably an understatement. And I mean, I've always read his stuff at Marvel, and when he started Valiant as one of the founding fathers of that publisher, it is one that, like I say, I was very sad to hear about his unfortunate passing, but he's left an immense legacy behind him. So obviously, make sure to go check out some of his stuff this week when you go hit the comic shops as well. So that being said, on behalf of Tom, Rich, who's jumping in late here on the show, and myself, thank you as always for listening to another edition of Turn a Page, the official comic book club for Nerd Initiative. And we'll end it like we always do. When you're at the comic shops and you have a great issue in your hand, such as Transformers #1 from Skybound Entertainment and Image Comics, and you see somebody struggling to find something, hand yours off to them. Tell them to turn a page. We'll see you next week.
Transform, and I'm out.
This program is powered by Fantasyverse, where manga, comics, and more collide. Check their website out, because it's not a dream. It's Fantasyverse. The content you've just watched is part of the Nerd Initiative Network. Make sure to like and subscribe to our YouTube channel, and don't forget to check out nerdinitiative.com, the home of pop culture positivity.